From the outside looking in, I keep hearing from people they feel like Democrats aren't fighting enough. But I know you're in there, and perception may not always be reality. How are Democrats fighting against this Republican shutdown?
Well, to be perfectly honest, education is the antidote to everything that Trump and this regime is about. And so I will say that we have been a lot better on communicating what exactly this is about. We know that this administration most likely has violated the Hatch Act so that they could put out this message that this lies squarely on Democrats and Republicans, have nothing to do with this shutdown. And they have been lying about the reason that Democrats are pushing back. And the reason has to do with healthcare for our constituents as well as theirs. But instead, they have put out this propaganda that this is all about undocumented folk being able to get healthcare in this country. And that's the only thing that we're fighting for, which is absolutely insane. So I have to give it to the party. We have definitely put that message out pretty strongly. And it's allowing people to push back. My hope is that when it comes to November 4th and we have some special elections, whether it's down in Houston or whether it's in Tennessee, that people realize who it is that is ready to govern on behalf of them. In addition to that, I hope that when they're looking at whether or not they need a governor that is going to protect them against the cuts that this administration is trying to usher in so many ways, and most of the time unlawfully, that they look at the Virginia gubernatorial and the New Jersey gubernatorial and they do what's right. So we are limited. Obviously, you know that we don't control the House, the Senate, or the White House, but we have seen those local electeds on the ground that are putting up fights, that are filing lawsuits all over this country. And so I hope that with this education, people decide, you know what? We're not going back. We're not going to vote for the Republicans again.
I know this is a tough question, but is there a long-term plan to reverse the harm that Republicans have done? That's what I keep on hearing. But the long-term plan really is voting. But I guess there are people out there, Congresswoman, that just feel like Democrats should be more negative. Democrats should just try every stunt and trick in the book and bend the law in the way Republicans do. Is
Yeah.
that an option in this world, or can we not do what the GOP is doing?
Well, for me, bending the law seems quite risky, considering the fact that
Right.
I am a lawyer, and also I am a Black woman. So any excuse
Yeah.
they can have to go after me, I mean, we've seen what they've done with people that haven't even bent the law, right? So I don't really imagine a world where we will go after political enemies just to go after them and try to incarcerate them. I really don't. I just don't. I do imagine that because of all the bending that this administration has done, the landscape for the law and the rules has changed. And so now we have court precedents, right? Supporting some of these very aggressive acts. So I do say that I would want to telegraph to whomever it is that plans to seek the office of presidency on the Democratic side here in the next 3 years. Lord have mercy. Jesus Christ. Yeah, in the next 3 years, that they take an aggressive posture, right? We can't fully assess how bad it is right now because we don't control any of the levers. But once we are able to kind of get under the hood and find out what all is broken, what all is leaking, I think that it is a matter of us deciding, do we still want this car? Do we want to repair it? Or is it time to go ahead and get a new car? And what should we have in this new car that would disallow someone from coming and getting under the hood and ripping it apart in a similar way? So I do look at this as an opportunity. We know that this country has never truly lived up to all that it espoused to be, especially for Black folk and just people of color in general. And so I do think we have an opportunity, but it's a matter of what do we do with that opportunity? Do we go in and we say things like, hey, it is time to put ethics on this Supreme Court because we see what happens when we allow corruption to seep in? Does it look like us saying, hey, we know the Republicans stole at least two seats on the Supreme Court. So we're going to expand the court. Does it look like us, saying that if we have another person that decides they want to commit an insurrection, that we better define that they are disallowed from being able to run on any party's ticket? It looks like us finding all the loopholes that he is
Before you
exploiting.
go, I want to play a brief clip of this was a couple of weeks ago, but I thought it was really powerful. There was a DC crime bill passed. It was horrible. And you called out Rep. Byron Donalds on the floor. And I just wanted to play a brief clip. Listen to this, y'all.
Imagine being a young man born to Jamaican and Panamanian parents who messed up not once, but twice. Imagine standing in front of a judge with your whole future hanging in the balance, and instead of prison, you are given a promise of mercy. Your record gets wiped clean. You get a second chance at life. Now imagine taking that promise and turning it into promotion. You go to college, you get a job, and even become a member of Congress. That's what redemption looks like. That's what America is supposed to be about. And that is exactly the story of the next wannabe governor from Florida. As a young man, he went through pretrial diversion for misdemeanor marijuana possession.
Let's take
As
it
an
down.
adult, yet younger
I've
than
covered
20
this in my book. He had charges that were expunged and sealed. He voted for this DC crime bill. I thought it was really important that you pointed that out, his hypocrisy of it all. That really is going to wage war on young people in DC. Did he ever approach you after that? Did he ever speak out or address the hypocrisy you pointed out in his vote?
No, so there's a couple of things. So they passed a number of DC bills. I think maybe 10. I don't really remember the total number now, but it was in the double digits. And yes, one was to change who can be charged as it relates to juveniles. But the one that I was arguing on the floor at that moment was the one that he authored. So he didn't just vote for it. This is his bill. They have him carrying their water.
Wow.
And in this bill, what it is in the DC code, they allowed for people that are 24 or younger to basically be able to get their records cleaned. That's basically what it was. Like, there's an opportunity. It strictly lies within the judge themselves. These judges are all federally appointed because DC doesn't have the ability to elect their own judges, right? So these are all federally confirmed judges, and it expands their ability to do what Byron Donalds had done for him, clean their records, right? So essentially, the way that this particular section of the code read is it redefined like a youthful offender or something to be like 24 or younger. So they were like, oh my God, you guys are making 24-year-olds juveniles. And it's like, there's no way to make a 24-year-old a juvenile, right? But we know scientifically that a brain is not fully developed until they're 25 on average, right? So DC obviously contemplated this, and Byron was 18 and 21 when he got into trouble. And
That's
Florida
right.
law allowed him to have his record clean. So I'm like, how is it you want to take this away from somebody else? And the judges have the full discretion on what they do, and they can't do it for like violent things. It's only like a select few kind of cases that they can do it for. So I was like really annoyed, and everybody knew that I was going to be the one to clap back. This is something that came through our committee of oversight. And he did not approach me directly, but we ended up in a DC hearing with the mayor, with the attorney general, some other people. I don't remember who else, but we had like various DC representatives that came before us after these bills passed. So this issue came back up again. So he tried to kind of have like conversation with me, kind of sort of back and forth in oversight, because he wanted to explain himself, because he felt a way for me dragging him with the truth on the floor.
This has been kind of confusing for my audience, and I know you aren't in the Senate, but the Charlie Kirk resolution, and we're trying to get somebody from the Senate to come on. Did they vote unanimously? for the
No,
Charlie Kirk resolution, or was it some kind of loophole?
yeah, they didn't vote. So it's my understanding they did a UC, which is what we call unanimous consent. So,
Okay.
like the way that the Senate works is like people have to actually go to the floor. Like they're not usually on the floor. So like they'll trickle in one by one and say their vote and whatever. So it's my understanding that like basically a unanimous consent is always good to go so long as nobody objects. But nobody was on the
Mm,
floor. So it was a matter
okay.
of somebody would have had to call in or run to the floor or something like that to say we object. So there was not an active vote that was taken by the Senate, like by each senator. So you won't find a record of, say, the
Right.
4 Black senators going on and saying, I vote yes. Like that
Gotcha.
didn't happen.
Last time I saw you was at a film screening for an amazing Barbara Jordan documentary, first Black woman elected to Congress from Texas. And she eventually walked away from her seat. She was done with it after 6 years. And I was
Yeah.
just, as I was watching it, I was thinking about you, Congresswoman Crockett. And I said, I wonder how long she's going to want to deal with this craziness. Like you're already a successful lawyer. This is madness in Congress. How long do you see yourself? Do you see that far in advance, 5, 6, 10,
I
15
don't,
years?
well, I'm already, listen, at the end of this term, I'll be at 4. Listen, I don't see myself staying long. The pace that I run at is not sustainable. Not to mention just the amount of sacrifice that it takes for me to do this job, whether it's my personal safety, whether it's just the fact that I'm not spending time with my family and friends like I'd want to. I have aging parents, I don't have kids. So, just kind of trying to um, put myself first at some point will have to happen. But I don't see myself. And really, I mean, that was an amazing documentary.
It was
Um, and so everyone should definitely check it out. It is called
the
in
Inquisitor.
yeah, the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that watching it in its fullness at that moment did so much for me.
Mm.
It was kind of sad that we really haven't moved that much further from the times when Barbara Jordan was here. But then it was also sad that theoretically we may have moved backwards a little bit, right? Because they highlighted what happened with the Nixon impeachment, and it was bipartisan, and it was a matter of like right versus wrong. And then I'm like, I mean, Donald Trump has nothing on Nixon, okay? Like, I mean, listen, he is way, way next level, the most corrupt, arguably politician we've ever seen. And to see how far we've kind of backslid is astounding. But also what really like got to me was when Barbara went out and did everything that she could on behalf of Jimmy Carter. And
Yes.
ultimately, she was not chosen for whatever reasons to be the attorney general. And that was what she wanted. She worked really hard. She traveled the country. And it was like that sore reminder that Black women labor and toil for this party. And at the end, sometimes it's a matter of what is it that we have to show for it, right? Like, where is the recognition of our labor? It's interesting that we always seemingly are necessary for the labor part. But when it comes time to actually have a seat at the table, how often we are overlooked, regardless of our qualifications. And so that part really sat with me like really heavily. And I just don't know that I want to repeat history to the extent that I continue to pour more into something, meaning the party itself, if the party isn't interested in anything other than my labor. Um,
Congresswoman, has those Democratic donors found their safest white boy yet? Remember we had that discussion. Have they found it yet?
I think that there's been a lot of movement now. I mean, there was a specific person that I was talking about that I've been told about, but I think that there's been a little bit of movement and shifting. So we will see. Definitely, I see the donor class is playing around in some other places for sure. But on presidency, I think that they've pulled back a little bit because there's been some shifting. And honestly, it is one of those things that I've consistently argued that the power still belongs with the people. So long as it is clear that the people are going in a certain direction, we can be the tail wagging the dog, right? So I don't want anyone to think that the donors are going to tell us what to do, so long
That's
as we
right.
stay engaged and we make it clear where it is that we want to go.